So for a long, long time on this planet, spiritual teachings and religious and spiritual organizations have heavily focused on the process of ascension. And the process of ascension is essentially the process of perfecting the self so that you can transcend the need to be born into the form realms and instead leave the form realms to dwell with God, to dwell in bliss or nirvana or heaven, which exists on another realm. So a strong emphasis and focus of spiritual progress has been on ascending out of here. But what I want to discuss with you today and what I want to put to you is a different purpose of spiritual evolution and spiritual growth and perfection of the self, which is actually going to allow the descent of spirit here. So rather than ascending out, reaching beyond these realms to higher realms and aiming for those realms as the ideal, it's the process of perfecting the self, refining the character and the vibration of these lower bodies so that they can receive higher vibrations of energy, receive those higher bodies so that they can dwell here, bringing heaven to earth, melding spirit and matter, allowing spirit to dwell here in the form world where it's actually of use. Because we need more love, we need more of that spirituality here. So it's letting those higher realms bleed through and occupy the form world, where those higher realms and higher realities and higher vibrations and frequencies of love can then go forth and be of service. So it's more of a selfless approach to spiritual attainment and development rather than a selfish approach of just getting out of here as quick as possible. So we'll be reading from my book, Healing, Wholeness and God Realisation, our next chapter, which is chapter 10, titled Ascending Descension. Ascension is but one ingredient in the process of true God realisation. Too often, much emphasis is placed on the act of ascension as though it is the entire goal and purpose. For as long as humans have been aware of God, there has been a great focus on the ultimate goal of returning to God. All religions and spiritual teachings have their own version of this. In Christianity, the return to God is to dwell in heaven by God's side. It may not be termed ascension, but it is the ascent out of the sin-filled, evil-ridden world of form and into a higher realm or plane of existence, an ascent out of the body, out of sin, and into the energetic realms of bliss in which God resides. In Eastern spiritual teachings, the process of ascension is, for all intents and purposes, despite what the claims may be, very similar to the Christian ascent into heaven. Which came first and who copied whom? It matters not, but we know that Eastern spirituality and most indigenous spirituality on this planet existed long before the Christian faith. Eastern spirituality speaks of the ultimate unity with God, the perfection of the self so that the natural reabsorption into the God out of which the individual was spawned occurs. It is the process of reuniting, of leaving this murky physical plane behind and rising up into the higher dimensional realities of God. Again, most spiritual and religious teachings have their own version of this great ascension, though it may not be named as such, and the interpretations of God and nirvana differ. Whatever the angle or the belief, ascension has been understood to be the great and ultimate reward owed after a godlike performance in a crippled physical reality. Spirituality for so long has been focused around getting out of here, leaving the form world behind, breaking free of the wheel of death and rebirth, ending all suffering and finally coming to rest in a state of bliss which can only be achieved somewhere else. The form world has been considered a world or a realm of sin and evil, of temptation and suffering. The form world has been a place to get away from, and your continuance in existing here has been considered a form of punishment or a great trial. Endure the suffering which God wields as a great measuring stick, testing your loyalty and your love, and once you are deemed worthy, God will call you home, rescuing you from this dark and pain-filled place where no great spirit should have to dwell. Ascension, or the process of leaving here, has been the goal and the focus, and the form world has been feared and judged, the human experience measured against a state of bliss shared with God and found to be wanting. This perception is sad and does not extend any gratitude or service to Gaia or to humanity. Anyone who simply wants to get out of here, leaving the planet and her humanity behind, has not truly realized God. Anyone who seeks only for their own promised state of eternal bliss has not truly given their heart over to evolution or, of most importance, to service. Such an individual is demonstrating a deep selfishness and a deep lack of understanding and compassion for humanity and our natural world. Such an individual is in judgment of physicality, believing it to be impure and beneath them. Such an individual, I put to you, seeks so desperately to get away from the form world because of a profound lack of mastery. They find themselves unable to choose joy despite the suffering here, to choose to love despite the fear here, to choose unity and oneness despite the unkind nature of their fellow human. Such an individual finds it too difficult to be God in the form world, believing that you can't be God or bring God to such a degraded place. Such an individual is demonstrating a significant split between their inner and outer realities. They experience God or spirit or the universe as being something quite separate from the form world. They do not see and know God in all things. They have not attained that God consciousness which sees them united with all things in creation and which allows them to source the love which they judge as being missing in their fellow humans. Such an individual has not attained synthesis. They are not living what they have realized. They are not practicing what they believe. Such an individual experiences themselves as being separate, existing still as an individual ego, and they judge this realm as being unworthy of their presence. Such an individual has certainly not surrendered themselves to the reality of the soul and the spirit. It is easy to be well behaved when there is no temptation around you. It is easy to obey God's commandments when there is no way that you could sin. It is easy to exist in a state of joy when you see no suffering around you. It is easy to embody the qualities of God when everything around you is perfect and pure and enlightened. The individual who seeks to get away from the suffering here so that they can reside in their well-earned state of bliss is spiritually lazy and incompetent. They want it to be easy. They don't want to be tempted by all the evil diversions here. They don't want to have to live with all the sinners here. They don't want to be bombarded by the suffering and the temptations of others. They don't want to have to witness pain and suffering. They don't want it to be difficult. They believe that they have been well enough behaved, stayed well enough away from sin, obeyed enough of God's commandments or performed enough of their spiritual meditation, paid enough tithes, repented thoroughly enough, and they should be rewarded with not having to try so hard anymore. I am more deserving of this. I have earned bliss. I have earned God's love. I have earned my place in the heavenly kingdom. Take me away from here so that I can be tempted no more. There is a real sense of superiority in this. It is very black and white, very rigid, very give and take. It is not service-oriented or love-motivated. It is not true Christianity, and it is certainly not true spirituality. True spirituality is the act of synthesis. It is the embodiment of God qualities. It is service and love-based. The spirit, the God within, seeks to uplift. It seeks to share of itself. It seeks to love, and it seeks to nurture the God and the nature within all things. With soul merge comes an understanding and an experience of being one with all things. To recognize the God within you means to recognize the God within all. There is no true separation, just unique flavors of the God within, going forth and having experience in various states of wakefulness and sleep. This kind of unity consciousness very naturally births a deep love and compassion for your fellow human. You have known what it is to suffer. You remember how it feels to exist in separation. You have lived the trials that accompany being unconscious to the love and guidance of the soul. You too once struggled with victim consciousness. You have struggled as your fellow humans now struggle around you. You have walked their path. You have faced and felt your own pain, and so you know their pain and the ways in which they suffer. Your heart naturally opens and extends love towards them. You recognize that to serve the God within is to serve and uplift all parts of God. To cause another harm is to cause yourself harm. Your conscience and your experience of oneness ensures this. To witness suffering causes love, not judgment or disgust, to spring forth from your heart which has known and healed its own suffering. This experience of unity and oneness is the birthing place of true spiritual and Christian qualities. These qualities are no longer theoretical. They are no longer requirements that you are checking off your to-do list so that you can get out of here. They have become your nature. God resides within you, moves you, expresses through you. Once you reach this stage in your evolution, you have forgotten all about your lists, all about your personal journey of ascending out of here, because you are so busy living as a source of love on planet Earth in service to all that is. You aren't focused on being deemed perfect by your religion or your spiritual organization. You aren't so interested in the testing that needs to be passed and the qualities that need to be adopted, because God has taken up residency in your very being, and you are motivated by looking for opportunities to express God. And the testing has become a joyful way to demonstrate and learn more about the God that you are discovering within. Your focus has shifted away from you and has become selfless in nature. God welcomes you and invites you into the inner workings and mysteries of life, reveals more of itself to you so that you can longer and better serve. You have demonstrated your true God nature and have committed yourself to serving, bringing forth love for the highest good and evolution of all concerned. You seek to uplift, and you have demonstrated yourself to be an agent of life, actively working for evolution and not against it. This is where the true magic happens. This is where God can be truly revealed and the transformation can truly occur. This is where God moves in and you are able to create your own heaven on earth. You see, ascension is only one part of the process of God realization. God realization is actually a process of ascending descension. The goal of God realization and enlightenment has never truly been to get out of here so that you can move on to your eternal state of bliss. It has actually always been about carrying out the will and the activity of God. It has always been about welcoming God here, awakening to God here, realizing God here, and letting God fill you, moving through you and through your life so that you become as God, and so that all who come into contact with you can benefit from the great light and the pure love which flows through you and into this realm. It has never been about retreating from this place. It has always been about learning to love this place, reawakening to the God which resides here in this place, and loving and being loved by the life which flows here. It has always been about giving back, about serving and contributing to the evolution of your fellow human. If you can only behave yourself or be God realized when everything around you is perfect, then you do not truly know God and you have not truly attained the qualities of God. True mastery is the ability to recognize love in all things. It is the ability to be a source of light in the darkest places and to bring love where there is only pain. To be one of God's spiritual warriors is to be an agent of life itself, wherever and whenever you find yourself. Mastery is not isolating yourself from the pain and suffering and sin and darkness and confusion so that you are not tempted by it and can instead exist blissfully in higher realms of existence, ignoring your human experience and all of its weaknesses until your humanness simply falls away and you are finally free. Mastery is thorough. It is equanimity within a tumultuous world. God consciousness is not about sitting in a constant state of meditation, reaching higher and higher in order to lift yourself out of your physical, emotional, and mental experience. If you can only behave, only love, only feel God when you are void of a physical, emotional, and mental body, then you are not in mastery at all. You are demonstrating that you are actually enslaved by these bodies. You are out of control, at the mercy of your form-oriented self. God consciousness is bringing the love and the illumination that you feel at the soul and spirit levels all the way into your form-focused bodies so that they can be healed, uplifted, transformed, willing and able to partner with and to become expressions of the God within. Your physical body is of God. Your emotional body is of God. Your mind is of God. These bodies, once healed and loved and embraced and occupied as a part of the whole, are able to serve God also. They are not naughty, misbehaving children which can't be trusted. In their natural state, they seek only to serve. In fact, they seek so deeply to serve that they serve you by reflecting and embodying the pain and the dysfunction that you bring to them. We will revisit this point later. Ascending Descension literally describes the ascension, the unfoldment into the mind of God, brought about as the result of the spirit through the soul, reaching through and descending into the form world. It is the great merge, the synthesis of the higher and the lower, the inner and the outer. It is the reawakening of the consciousness to realize to realities which exist beyond itself. We can use very simple physics to describe and understand this process. If you, like all things, are made up of energy, your physical form being made up of energy which has been slowed right down, so slow and low in its vibration that it appears as dense physical matter, and if you are a multidimensional being, then your higher bodies are also energy, slowed down or sped up depending on their plane of existence. You have an etheric body which enshrouds your physical body, an energetic copy of your physical body. This is often the body that aura readers are viewing. This body vibrates at an ever so slightly higher frequency than your physical body. It is just outside of the usual range of perception of the human eye, but the human eye can indeed be trained to perceive it. Existing at a slightly higher rate of vibration is your emotional body, or the realm of emotion. You cannot see emotion. It is not physical in its form, but it is of the form world, an energetic response to physical experience. You cannot see the emotional realm because, once again, it is slightly raised in vibration, resonating at a frequency not perceivable at this stage in our evolution to the average human eye. This body, as with the mental and the soul body, can, however, be sensed and seen by the inner eye, the energetic perceiver, which has its physical counterpart in the pineal gland, and which can act upon this pineal gland to create phenomena which the mind can interpret as images, sensations, smells, and auditory input. These perceptions are physically oriented translations of energy which is being picked up and sensed from these higher realms of existence, which vibrate too quickly for the usual human senses to pick up. The mental body, again, is of a slightly higher frequency than the emotional body, existing across a number of higher vibrational realms and realities. In these realities, these bodies are just as real, just as form-like, as our physical bodies are to us here in this realm, where we are equipped with senses which are attuned to this particular three-dimensional frequency of existence. At each level, we have senses which allow our various bodies to perceive, but again, these senses, while able to translate data to our physical senses, are not physically focused. What I am attempting to convey is that you are a multidimensional being, with multiple bodies existing across multiple realities, locked into those realities through resonance or frequency. You have a physical self which is energy slowed way down, and as you move up through your bodies, reaching to the higher planes, the vibration of your bodies increases. This higher vibrational energy can be sensed and translated into data which our physical selves can perceive, but this higher dimensional data is, once again, conveyed through feeling. The multidimensional self is not built out of rigid lines which separate the various realities of your existence. In fact, if you are having a multidimensional experience right now. Your emotional, mental, soul, and spirit bodies interpenetrate each other. They occupy the same space as you, just as you physically occupy the same space as light waves and sound waves and radio waves and electromagnetic frequencies that you cannot see. The reality of one does not override or disprove the reality of the other. You have all sorts of frequencies moving through and around your physical body constantly. There is no fighting for space. You do not make way for a Wi-Fi signal, and the Wi-Fi signal does not negate your physical reality. We have learned how to accept that we cannot perceive everything in our environment. We do not question the validity of the existence of something just because we can't measure it with our physical senses. We know that differing frequencies can occupy the same space. Our technology has readied us to accept this reality. We rely on energy and frequency. To us, now, what was once considered magical and nebulous is a lived reality. So, this idea of having a multidimensional self, parts of you existing in higher vibrational form, raised to a frequency that you cannot see or smell or hear or touch, should not be such a stretch. We live in a multidimensional physical reality. And so I put to you that your higher dimensional spiritual self is not something which is nebulous or out of reach. It is actually all around you, interpenetrating your reality here, simply having its own reality and body at a higher vibration than you can perceive. God is all around you. The soul is within you. Spirit moves through you. As you increase your ability to sense and communicate with these higher vibrational realities, then more of the mystery can be exposed to you. The truth is not outside of you, it is within you. Certainly, you can realize God in the furthest reaches of the cosmos, but you can just as easily realize God in the depths of your physicality. You can cast your mind and your heart all the way out and come to know the same truth that lies deep within the smallest quanta particle. God is all the way out, and God is all the way in. Try it. Bring your conscious awareness to your physical body. As you breathe into your physical body, choose an organ to focus upon. As you identify more deeply with that organ and uncover some of its mysteries, refine your focus further and select a single cell in that organ. Draw your consciousness into this cell. Become aware of the cell's organelles and draw yourself into the nucleus of the cell. Here, draw your consciousness in through your DNA, to the nucleotides within your DNA, to the protons and the neutrons, which are the building blocks for these nucleotides, to the quarks which form them, and right down to the smallest atom you can imagine. Be one with this atom. Let it reveal its reality to you. Let yourself feel and sense and connect with the God and the life force within this atom. Now, if you draw your awareness out, far out into the cosmos, you will once again meet the God within, but perhaps in a more nebulous kind of way, which can be less confronting to the negative human ego, which has been trained to believe that God exists outside of it. Ascending, descension. God is without, God is within. God within, grow strong and help me to know the God within all. You must learn to have your reality across multiple dimensions and to recognize the same God within and through these various dimensions. There should be no discrepancies, no splits, no vast and gaping distances between these dimensions and various states of God. There is simply an alteration in vibration and frequency and, as a result, a unique perspective and insight. Ascending descension is the realization and the synthesis of these multidimensional states of being. They should come to exist in harmony together, resounding and acting as vehicles for the same unique aspect of God, which is having its reality through you. As you refine the vibration of your form-focused bodies, then the higher vibrational realities of your multidimensional self can be made known to you. As these higher vibrations of energy are made known to you, they will descend into these lower vibrations and seek to illuminate them by raising them up. Higher vibrational energy seeks to raise the frequency of low vibration energy, and so higher vibrational energy descends into the reality of lower vibrational energy and increases its vibration, raising it up to more closely resonate with and match the pure frequency of the God within. This descension of higher vibrational energy causes the ascension of the lower dimensional self into higher realities, and in turn, this ascension or refinement of frequency causes more higher vibrational energy to descend. It is a continual raising up in vibration and frequency. the energetic equivalent of osmosis. Of course, the opposite can be true and is, unfortunately, frequently witnessed on this planet. Osmosis can work both ways. It can happen that high frequency energy will descend into lower dimensional realities, and instead of the lower vibrational energy being raised up to match this higher energy, it can instead be dragged down the vibration of this higher energy to match its lower vibration. The negative ego does this often. It can take the high vibrations of insight and realization and love and illumination and drag it down into a reality of fear, using that energy to perpetuate suffering and separation. In such a case, the descent has not created an outcome of ascension. The same can also be true in our interactions on the ground. Everyone, according to their levels of God realization and embodiment of spiritual qualities, as well as their identification with the negative ego and embodiment of fear-based qualities, will vibrate differently. There are human qualities and orientations which raise a person's vibration. In simplest terms, the adoption of those qualities which are love-based and more godlike in nature will raise an individual's vibration. A healthy mindset, joy-filled emotions, physical activity, a healthy diet, a connection with nature, a robust physical body, a good moral character, and qualities such as selflessness, kindness, compassion, and sacredness, or qualities of God, will raise one's vibration. On the other hand, qualities which are low in vibration, such as a depressed mind or mood, worries, self-centeredness, fear, aggression, judgment, gluttony, lust, deception, hedonism, material obsession, poor diet, an unhealthy physical body, the presence of alcohol or drugs, obsessive physical focus to the exclusion of higher realities, will cause one's vibration to be lowered. When you feel the vibration of these qualities, the difference in vibration between fear and love, and you understand energetic osmosis, then this makes sense. Which takes us on to our next topic, which is the topic of frequency matching and energetic healing. So this deals more with vibrational and energetic exchange in the physical realm. So we've just spoken about vibrational and energetic exchange this way, up and down. And next we're going to talk about the exchange horizontally. So between different people, the exchange of energy between people, objects, the collective psyche, the environment, getting into the nitty-gritty of it. But for now, much to ponder there, and that's all for today.